March 27th, 1995. Milan, Italy. Maurizio Gucci. Sorry, I can't help myself. He's strolling into his office for the day. Broad daylight, and out of nowhere, a gunman comes up behind him and shoots him. Brutal, cold execution. So what? First of all, who is this man? And why was he just killed? I do my best to fact check everything I share, but please don't take any action based on the information here. And definitely don't quote me in your dissertation. Also, some viewer discretion is advised. Some stories may include graphic or potentially triggering content, so please take care when listening. And if I laugh at any point, just know it's never at the history or the people involved. Sometimes I just get a little awkward, or the drama is too wild not. Hello. Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of History in High Heels. Ooh, who loves my outfit today? If you're an audio listener, you won't be seeing this right now, but I am decked out, baby. I have put in so much effort to my appearance today and my costume. I've got my cat eye sunglasses on, my big faux fur jacket on, and we're blinged out to the max, baby. Who could today's story be about? Who the hecking heck? Well, let me tell you something actually, okay? I was having a little browse, deciding what stories I want to do and things like that. I was bouncing off of other people for inspiration. I came across some fashion conspiracy scandals situations, and I was like, oh my gosh, is that not the most fitting thing for History in High Heels? I had no idea how much scandals there were. I was absolutely flabbergasted. So I was like, wouldn't it be amazing if we could do like a little mini series on my podcast, on the show? So this will be the first of a few fashion episodes. However, they're not going to be like one right after the other. Like I might do one next month or like in 2 months or whatever. Slowly but surely, we will build up some lovely, like a lovely little sequence that you can watch whenever you want to. So, yeah, that is what I was going to do today. Yeah. So, I am so bloody excited. So, we're going to start off strong today. Before I do anything else, Scotland just qualified to be in the World Cup for the first time in nearly 30 years. No, Scotland, no party. Anyway, I don't even really watch football, but absolutely would if Scotland was playing. So today, guys, I'd heard a few situations about this story that I'm going to tell you, but I never really had a deep dive before. I didn't really know what was going on. Today, we are going to speak about Gucci. That's why I've dressed up. Thank you. I couldn't do a Gucci episode and not dress up. Are you kidding? Okay, but let's get into it today. So, let me take you back in time. March 27th, 1995. Milan, Italy. Maurizio Gucci. Sorry, I can't help myself. He's strolling into his office for the day. Broad daylight, and out of nowhere, a gunman comes up behind him and shoots him. Brutal, cold execution. So what? First of all, who is this man? And why was he just killed? Broad daylight in Milan in Italy. For everything to be explained, I'm going to have to take you back in time. Ooh. So we are starting off our Gucci episode with the Gucci early days. So we're going to rewind all the way back to 1921 in Florence in Italy, And there's a man called Gucci. He opens a workshop, right? And he's really into crafting luxury leather goods for European and American travelers. He was like, that is where the money is. So Guccio has 2 sons, one called Aldo and one called Rodolfo. He gives like 50% to one, 50% to the other one. Family tensions kind of start brewing pretty early. Basically, Aldo was the marketing genius and he was really for like global expansion. He was like, we're going to take this global. So he had big visions, he had big ideas. He ended up having 3 sons, and these sons were called Giorgio, Paolo, and Roberto. I love Italian names. They're so cool. They're so fun. Like, they're so fun to say. Roberto. I love it. So anyway, Rodolfo's son was called Maurizio, and he inherited 50% because you see what happened was, so Gucci, he had 2 sons, so they get 50% each. One of those sons has the 3 sons, and then one of the sons has like 1 son. So that 3 brothers have to split their 50%. However, the man that had the 1 son, Maurizio just gets his full 50%. Are you kind of following? So basically there's 4 dudes, 4 guys. 3 of them have now got 50% divided by 3, and then one of them's got 50%. Understand? Okay, let's move on. So, of course, they're not really too happy about that, especially because they think that their dad has done quite a lot for Gucci and, you know, his visions and taking it global, and then their cousin gets way more of a percentage than each of them. So, yeah, it starts brewing quite early. Maurizio actually inherits the 50% when his father dies, Rodolfo, when he dies in 1983. He wanted to take it up. He wanted to upscale it. He wanted to like give it some zazz. Do you know what I mean? Zazz it up. Zazz it up. But the family resisted, so they didn't want to do it. So he was like, I can't really do anything if you guys don't want to, you know, because they own the other part of it. So, let me tell you something. The family feuds, they're pretty legendary at Gucci. Yeah. Falling out, allegedly, frequently. Yeah. So, you know Aldo, Gucci's one of his sons that had the 3 sons. Oh gosh, this is getting really confusing now. I'm going to have to make you a family tree. One of his sons, Aldo, actually kind of ratted him out. Yeah, he ratted him out because he found, I think allegedly, some documents? Yeah, he found some documents that basically was giving evidence for tax fraud. It's actually not really alleged because he actually went to prison for it. So they're not on good terms. They're not really speaking. So to kind of like be like, and you know, take that, he reduced, what's his name? He reduced Paolo's inheritance for the business. So he like put it right down. So it was a lot, like it was a lot that it went down by. So instead of, you know, splitting equally with his brothers, with his other 2 brothers, he got way less of a percentage for inheriting, you know, any part of Gucci. So, and then Aldo goes to jail because of the tax fraud thing. I really hope this isn't too complicated. Yeah, so I guess Gucci's reputation was kind of because it started to trickle down from like luxury to not really high end anymore. There was a few problems with the money, and Maurizio really wanted control. He was like, I think I can solve this, by the way. He thinks he can sort it out. So he wants the company, like he wants to buy their investments so that he can run it how he wants to. However, there is one problem. He has no money. Can't do much if you've got no money. So then he turns to investors and, he's trying to come up with an idea. And that's where he meets Morgan Stanley. I know, sounds like a familiar name. I was like, I've definitely heard of this man before. But then I was like, of investors, why would I know this man's name? It's so random. But anyway, he comes along and basically this company called Invest Corp is like, yes, we will help you out. So problem solved. He's got an investor and he's ready to go. The only thing is, again, who's going to sell it? Like, who's seriously going to give up a percentage of Gucci? Well, let me tell you something. Paolo, I guess, was still feeling pretty salty. He was still feeling a bit, and he cracked first. Really because he had the lowest percentage. Remember, he was the one that sent his dad off to jail. Remember? Well, allegedly. He was the first to crack because I guess he had the least to lose. He was like, I don't really care. Have my 3% or 5% or whatever it was. That's alleged. I don't know that for a fact. But he had way less of a percentage, so he didn't... just was like, have it. So he took the deal and he got his money and he, I guess, was quite happy, and that was that. So then in 1989, Maurizio became CEO of Gucci and Invest Corp owned 50%. So the vision, was Gucci is going to come back. It's going to come back, take high market, and it's going to rule the place, and it's going to be amazing. Everyone's going to be wearing it. We've got new this, new that, blah, blah, blah. That was the vision. Okay. So he hires new designers. He cuts down mass market lines and then tries to create a clean luxury aesthetic. But the problem was, right, his vision was amazing. You did amazing. The vision was so good, right? But it was apparently executed terribly. He wanted to cut the GGs out, and apparently that made 70% of the revenue. Like, that was the cash cow. They were like, no, you can't do that. And he was like, well, it's my business. I can do what I want. So he went ahead and did it. And it was a drastic move. I guess he thought that it would really get him somewhere. So quite quickly, the company racked up big debts and underpaid suppliers. Not really good for your reputation, and staff as well. And then it was very, very close to actually being bankrupt. I know! Gucci was nearly bankrupt. I was like, gaspalicious. Anyway, so he says to Invest Corp, please, just 6 more months. Like, I need 6 more months. And the reason why he was doing that was because he had just created this big new image for Gucci. But I guess it needed time to settle. It needed time to, for customers to pick it up, and basically customer turnover. It just needed some time to, settle in. Marinate, if you will. And he was like, please, just 6 more months, and then I know that the market's going to take off. And they were like, They said no. They actually said no. I know, I was a bit gassed. I was like, okay, but I guess it's business at the end of the day. So in September 1993, Maurizio was ousted. The irony is, I know, this sucks. He was actually right. So 6 months later, the Japanese consumers fell in love with his aesthetic in every way. Oh, I know. Isn't that the biggest slap in the face ever? I thought so too. Imagine all that work that you've just put in, and then you get ousted, and then it turns out you were right all along. So anyway, in the background, because obviously this is all business talk, in the background, in this time, Maurizio actually had a wife called Patrizia. Allegedly, Patrizia wasn't really liked within the Gucci family. There was lots of rumors. It's quite hard to say for sure fact what was real and, you know, what was rumors. So it's kind of hard to differentiate from gossip. But she wasn't super popular. I think people kind of saw her as like a gold digger. And she really thought of herself as like a big push for Maurizio. And she kind of thought that she was behind him, like giving him that shove to like make these big, bold moves. So she, I guess, felt kind of responsible for the success. She kind of felt like, you know, that came from me as well. That was me as well. So yeah, so she's kind of feeling a bit bummed, I guess. And they had 2 daughters as well. However, the 2 separate. Well, separate is a term. He did that thing where he said to her, I'll be back, you know, I'm just popping out to get some milk, if you catch my drift. And then he didn't come back. So that's kind of what he did. And then he started seeing this other woman, and they were separated though, like him and Maurizio were separated. Anyway, in 1985, they divorced, like it was official. During this time, Maurizio had gotten very used to her luxury and lavish lifestyle. The problem was that when Maurizio had to take a pay cut, so did Patrizia's allowance. I know. Allegedly cutting it from 150,000 to 90,000 a month. I know. What kind of sick person would cut the allowance to that? It's awful. It's simply awful, to be honest. I could never imagine living on 90,000 a month. It's just absolutely disgusting. Don't come to me with that figure. Obviously, I'm joking. But yeah, she got very used to the lifestyle, so she's not happy with him. And also, you have to remember, you know, he left her. She thought that she, you know, really helped to get Gucci to where it was. No, I guess she's feeling like this is very unfair. Meanwhile, Maurizio was actually dating again. You know, good for him. They were renovating a Milan flat together. He was buying yachts and he was doing like risky investments and things like that. And Patrizia saw him as squandering wealth that she thought she deserved. So then Patrizia, I guess, starts conspiring. And she's not exactly being secretive about it. Yeah, again, with the whole rumors thing, I have to say it's alleged, but I did see this in a documentary that she was quite open about wanting him out of the picture. And she would quite openly say that. Basically, she was saying it to a lot of people, like too many people, that she wanted him to not be in the picture anymore. And she ended up telling her bestie, Tina, as besties do, she was like, I want to murder my ex-husband. And Tina was like, okay. So then they managed to find some people, and like she knows a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy, like who knows a pizza delivery driver who like knows a mechanic, like allegedly, and somebody said that they would do it. So she gave him a down payment, and then, you know, weeks were going by and she was like, when is this gonna happen? It was a whole big thing. Well, it did. It did. And that takes us to March 1995, where the plot was executed and Maurizio was murdered. You see, when it happened, it caused shock waves through Italy. Because what the helly? Like, who would do this? The mob? The Italian mob? Was it a business rival? But no, the whole time Patrizia was behind it. So the murder happened, right? And they were kind of like, where do we go from here? Because I guess they interviewed for people, but I guess they had no leads. And it was like 2 years and the case kind of went cold. I know, that's so hard to believe. Until one night, a policeman got a phone call and it was actually a tip-off. And basically, they allegedly arranged to meet this policeman at this cafe, and then he told him what he looked like, and the policeman went to go meet him, and he was like, that's that guy that I spoke to on the phone. So he sits him down, and then they talk about it. And apparently they're like, this guy is gloating that he had something to do with the murder. So that is enough, okay? And they connect the dots. Police were then gathering information because they had suspicions about Patrizia. Little did she know they were tapping her phones, okay? They were surveying her. And basically they gathered enough evidence to finally storm her apartment. Early morning, they storm Patrizia's apartment, who, by the way, had moved in to Maurizio's old apartment. Yeah, I can't remember if it was the day off or the day after the murder, but she basically walked in with her like papers and was like to the girl, like, get out. Okay, shouldn't do that, but I mean, I don't know. But she made that other girl move out, and she moved in with her 2 daughters. So she was actually living at Maurizio's residence. So yeah, that place got stormed, and then that's how they found evidence, and they could put her, like, charge her for the murder there. So she was arrested in January 1997. The trial happened in 1998. Editing Elsie popping in here quickly. So just a quick explanation, if you will. There were actually 4 conspirators involved in helping Patrizia arrange Maurizio Gucci's murder. Patrizia was originally sentenced to 29 years, later reduced to 26 on appeal. The 4 accomplices received sentences ranging from 25 to 29 years, and the hired hitman was given life imprisonment. Thanks to good behaviour, Patrizia was actually released from prison in 2016 after serving about 18 years. Since her release, she's actually been working for a jewellery brand in Milan. And while we're here, I also wanted to just take a moment to remember Maurizio Gucci himself, not just the tragedy of his death, but the legacy that he left behind him. Maurizio was instrumental in modernising the Gucci brand, pushing it back into the spotlight with bold creative direction and a renewed vision for luxury. Maurizio basically laid the groundwork and the foundation for Gucci's future. Even if he did fail to execute it, like, let's just be honest here. He hired the VP and the chief designer, who went on to hire Tom Ford. So it's kind of like the butterfly effect. If he hadn't been there and hired this person who hired this person, then Tom Ford wouldn't have been hired. And Tom Ford, like, he did wonders for Gucci. I can't even explain what, not even just for Gucci, but what he did to the entire fashion industry. We'll get into it. So they hired him in 1990, and then he got promoted to creative director in 1994. Tom Ford, and then the original lawyer, his name was Domenico De Sol, who used to be the Gucci's like family lawyer, and then he got involved in the business. So yes, they transformed Gucci into a global luxury powerhouse, and they managed to avoid hostile takeovers. So there was this company called LVMH, and it was Bernard Arnault, and he was like really trying to like get in. He was taking over a lot of luxury companies at that time, so he was like kind of like trying to take over Gucci as well. But then this man called Francis Pinault saves Gucci and buys 42% of its shares and completely safeguards the empire. So she's been through it. She's really been through it. People tried to take her from us, and we got through it thank you to Francis. And eventually, all good things must come to an end. The Tom Dom era finished in 2004 after consolidating Gucci's multi-brand strategy. I know, we've been through a lot today. I could have actually gone for a way deeper dive. Like, there was so much in the story, it was crazy. Maurizio is remembered as both a fashion visionary and a tragic victim of family greed and obsession. So yeah, Gucci is glamorous. It has the family drama, scandal, and murder. Like, that's intense. And high fashion isn't just about handbags and couture and faux fur jackets, because we're not about the fur. It's about power, money, obsession, and sometimes death. I know. There's so many more stories I could go into. But the lesson is the glitzy world of luxury has a dark side. And the House of Gucci is one of the wildest examples. Okay, babes. So, what a ride. Can we just? From the glamorous beginnings with Guccio and Gucci, remember him, he started it. I don't know how he would be thinking, what he would be thinking about all of this. But to the family betrayals, business battles, and the shocking murder of Maurizio Gucci, this story has it all. It's wild and it's scandalous. And it shows that behind luxury and glamour, fashion can be ruthless. But also, Maurizio's struggles paved the way for the Tom Dom era, which transformed Gucci into the powerhouse that we all know today. Sleek, iconic, and just unforgettable. If you loved diving into the drama, the history, and all the tea behind Gucci, make sure you don't miss what's coming in our series on fashion empires, scandals, and power plays. If you want to, you can follow me on Instagram and YouTube. You can find me at History in High Heels _ the podcast. And on TikTok, it's just all one word, History in High Heels the pod, for more juicy history in high heels. So, stay scandalously stylish, babes. And I will catch you next time. Okay? Bye-bye. See ya.